Hello and a very warm welcome to Cricket 360. This is a special edition of Cricket 360 because I am in the city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat, home of the Gujarat Titans, where the Narendra Modi Stadium hosted the finals of the ODI World Cup. I am joined by four very interesting people. They're in the same profession. They're all lawyers and they're all practicing lawyers, and they have a nice perspective about cricket, not only India cricket, but what is happening around. Sharvil Majmudar is here. The gentleman with the white hat is Panthil Majmudar. And Shivam Majmudar is to his right, and of course, Rohan Majmudar. And for those of you who have seen Cricket 360 podcast before, these four gentlemen will give you a nice view. Let me just dive into it. Sharvil, Gautam Gambhir is the coach of the Indian team. Indian team has not performed that well. I'm putting it lightly in Test cricket of late. You know what happened in Australia. New Zealand came to India and they blanked us 3-0, the Sri Lanka debacle, etc. Does Indian cricket blame Gautam Gambhir?
I would like to believe that Gautam Gambhir is not to be blamed because ultimately a coach does not go on the field and play. Yes, some of his strategical decisions like sending night watchmen at crucial times, the choice of night watchmen, I believe were not correct. But it is still early days for Gautam Gambhir. He is a terrific guy. He is a terrific coach. But ultimately, it is up to the players. And if he has a team where the players are already on the lower side or decline after their peak, then he has to find fresh faces. So in fact, I believe that for youngsters like Nitish Reddy, etc., the credit has to go to Gautam Gambhir. So I believe Gautam Gambhir is unnecessarily being criticized, and his role is limited, and he's doing his job pretty well. And please give us some more time. Please give him some more time.
Panthil Majmudar, people often say that a coach is as good as his players.
Correct.
And the new term has come out, the man manager. They manage the men in the team. Gautam Gambhir as a man manager, somebody who would want to lead from the front. Your thoughts on Gambhir?
My thoughts are that I think Gautam Gambhir should take a leaf out of the book of Ravi Shastri. When Ravi Shastri was the coach of the Indian cricket team, and when Indian team was allowed for 36, the atmosphere which Ravi created in the team dressing room, that is something which Gautam Gambhir should also do. I say it is still early days for Gautam Gambhir. We can't blame him totally, but to an extent, I think he does deserve the blame. He does deserve to be criticized because only then he can improve. And therefore, I believe that if he is able to do this man management in a proper way, Indian cricket will go a long way. Gambhir himself was a very good cricketer, and therefore I'm sure he can take Indian cricket forward.
Good points, Panthil. Shivam, Sunil Gavaskar has famously said that after the Australia tour, the New Zealand debacle in India, the coaching staff also should take the blame. And do you think that the Gambhir and his staff ought to be blamed equally as much as what the players have been blamed for?
In my opinion, yes. It would be too arrogant for Gambhir not to accept that he would have been at the fault. Yes, he could have executed things better. Once he is in the think tank committee, it would be his decision. It would be his sole discretion to take certain steps. But since once he has problem identification done, after that execution, if it's poor, yes, I believe, in my opinion, coaches at blame. Ultimately, batting coaches and bowling coaches are working under him in synchronization. So he'll have to see where he missed. Certain things would have to be dealt with in depth. And yes, bit of arrogance was there that yes, we couldn't change things. He was not really humble in observing what efforts of Australians was there. But going forward, yes, with this kind of strategies, with this kind of think tank, he does have the capacity. So hopefully he can improve and he should take the blame.
Rohan, you have been following Australia cricket very closely. And of course, Australia won the series 3-1 after initial India's win in Perth. Australia clearly a superior side. What went wrong for India during the India-Australia series that the Border Gavaskar Trophy now rests with Team Australia?
one thing which clearly went wrong for India was that the second bowler, the second pacer did not click as well as it clicked for Australia. When you see statistically speaking, when you see the second and the third pacer's job, which Pat Cummins and Stark did, or maybe Boland did, they did not have preference. Like here, we clearly had a preference. Bumrah was our first preferred bowler, followed by Siraj, followed by Akashdeep. But in Australia, they were hunting with all guns blazing. There was no preference order. So what had happened that they could rotate their bowlers better and manage the workload relatively better than compared to what Indians did. As a resultant effect, by the end of the series, Bumrah, he's injured and his future for the next couple of weeks, at least a month, is uncertain. So maybe bowling was one of the issues and definitely batting. Labuschagne and Smith might not have scored as many runs as they would have wanted, but they spent time there so as to get the ball relatively older, which helped likes of Head and Carey to end the innings well. And their obvious result, their 7 and 8 numbers, Cummins and Stark scored more runs than Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. So this shows the amount of depth with which they batted.
So I have just one last word on Gambhir,
Sure.
on Gautam, that he should become less Gambhir.
For the Cricket 360 fans who are listening to this broadcast and seeing this broadcast, the word Gambhir in Hindi language means somebody who's very serious, very stern-minded. So what Sharvil just said, that he needs to relax a bit. Talking about relaxing, one recent story coming out of the ICC, which would not make the West Indies cricket relax at all, is the two-tier system, where England, India, Australia would be in one tier, and teams like the West Indies could potentially be relegated to a lower tier system. And Clive Lloyd famously has come out and said that it was the West Indies team of Marshall, Garner, Andy Roberts, Mikey Holding, and all those people who back in the 70s and 80s brought attraction to cricket, to the West Indies cricket. And they indirectly supported other teams.
True.
And now it is a time where they are seeking support. What do you think is happening with this whole concept of a tiered system in Test cricket?
Personally, it was a very disturbing news for me because I am a big fan of West Indies cricket. And West Indies cricket needs the support of BCCI today more than it needed at any stage. Now just imagine today West Indies, though it has talent, but it is unable to produce result. Now if God forbid after 10 years, if India does not produce results, then does India also get relegated to tier 2? You can't do that. So I think I hope this idea does not go through, because BCCI and other top nations, the rich nations, need to support teams like West Indies, even Afghanistan, etc. And I watched a podcast of Adam Gilchrist and Michael Vaughan, where they were also pretty much against this idea.
Panthil, you obviously have been following cricket so closely. Your thoughts on this potential tiered Test cricket status?
See, I believe that this tiered system for Test cricket is not very good, particularly when you have a team like West Indies, which you put in the second tier. The rich history which West Indies has, we know the three Ws, the Big Bird, Joel Garner, Sir Vivian Richards, the best. Even Virat Kohli says that he has never seen a batsman like Sir Vivian Richards. So when you have such rich history and still the talent is very much there in the West Indies, so if you put them in the second tier, I believe it is going to hurt cricket more than anything else. The tiered system, if at all they want, I think they should have 8 teams in a tier. They may have the best 8 top teams who may play against each other. Because West Indies, we know, as the fast bowler, the young fast bowler, I think Kima Roche or someone who played Joseph Shepherd, who played in Australia, who was injured, he went to the hospital, had his scans, and when he returned, on the next day, he demolished the Australian batting lineup, and West Indies won the test match in Australia, and it was a pink ball test. Yeah. So that is the cricket talent which West Indies has.
Yeah, Shamar Joseph is the one you were referring to, and what a player he is. And if Test cricket for the West Indies becomes lesser of an event moving forward, the world of cricket will be much poorer. by not seeing folks like Shamar Joseph. Shivam, you also follow West Indies cricket closely, and this it's a political decision. It's a financial decision that ICC in Dubai will have to make and will make some people happy, some people not so happy. If you are a West Indies cricket fan, obviously you're going to be very disturbed, aren't you?
At present, yes. But there are two ways to looking at it. Because one, if I play in the tier two system, there is a chance that we do have potential to rise above this. There is a chance, there is a scope that we may get promoted upon playing good cricket. So as a fan, I do not think it's something very demoralizing or demotivating as of now. Because as West Indies, the board, the cricketers, it's been historic. They have attracted crowd across the globe for Test cricket. Even in the early 2000s, they attracted the crowd for T20 cricket, and that's what we are watching now. That T20 cricket is the most popular part of the sport right now. So it's West Indians and it's their cricketers who've made this sport very popular at crucial times. So I think to take it positively, to looking at with the other way, there is a chance, there is a scope where they can rise above from here and end up in tier one. So as a fan, yes, I would rather support the team. I would rather be hopeful and watch the boys play well and get promoted to tier one.
Rohan, I know you are a big Australia fan, so coming from an Australian viewpoint, who would be in the top tier, of course, they are in the World Test Championship finals, also playing against South Africa at Lords. But put on your West Indies cricket hat for a moment and tell our 360 listeners and viewers what your thoughts are.
Frank Worrell Trophy. It is what it's called when it's between Australia and West Indies. Border Gavaskar is between India and Australia. Ashes between England and Australia. And Frank Worrell is the name. FWT. Frank Worrell Trophy. The 2024 year was kick-started by a famous victory of the West Indies at Brisbane.
Correct.
The pink ball test, as my other friend just stated. So we need such small moments to keep West Indies in the hunt. They have plenty of talent. They just need to groom the talent. They have all the West Indies. There are about 200 players who are playing in the different T20 leagues. You just need to push them to play longer format. As much as a fan, I would want England to play against Australia more often, India to play against England more often. But I would, as a neutral fan, I would want all the 8 teams in hunt, because T20 leagues have done a tremendous job to negate the skill gap between various players of different countries. Earlier, it was a big four or big eight, but now there are players from 10 countries who compete in the 10, 12 countries who compete in the T20 circuit. Why not in the test circuit? So we need more of the test for longer format to be played in the Caribbean, and by doing so, we can have more players playing for West Indies, and we don't need a separate tier. In my
I'll just take a minute more just to tell you how much I love West Indies cricket and West Indies Test cricket. The recent series between West Indies and Bangladesh was shown only on one app, Fan Code, which you had to subscribe to watch it in India. I subscribed that app. I watched those two test matches. I used to wake up past midnight to see the West Indies cricket team bat and the bowlers bowl. That is how much I love West Indies cricket.
So I think the consensus is that the west of India wants West Indies. Well, we are in the western part of India.
Right. The Indian cricket fans have historically always supported the West Indies, except when India and West Indies play, then it's a different equation. But a lot of the cricket pundits, Sharvil, feel that Test cricket is dying a slow, programmed death. That the eventuality is perhaps a decade or so from now, that Test cricket is going to be less and less prevalent. It is the day of the white ball cricket. T20 leagues mushrooming everywhere, T10 leagues mushrooming everywhere. Is Test cricket dying?
No, not at all. Just look at the numbers of BGT series. Look at the viewers who watched BGT on TV, as well as the crowd that went to the stadiums. And I am a big fan of Test cricket. And you tell me, Dr. Mehta, how many T20 results you remember? But you will remember results of Test matches. So that's the beauty of Test matches. And it has the possibility of comeback, which T20 or any white ball cricket doesn't have. So it is a different, it has a different magic.
What did I tell you? These guys are very cerebral cricket fans. And that answer from Sharvil proves that. Panthil, is Test cricket dying?
Absolutely not. In fact, I would say that if you want to see good batting and good bowling, nothing like Test cricket.
Shivam?
My opinion would be a little contrary to this. Having talked about the tier 1 and tier 2 system, a question triggers in my mind. Will the West Indian Cricket Board will have more independence to focus on different forms of cricket? Whether if a squad of 11 or 15 players with work management, would it be easier for them for now to focus on T20 cricket or white ball cricket entirely? Since they are in tier 2 cricket, they would have less possibility or they have lesser burden on their shoulders to perform in test cricket. While is this the time where they can truly focus on white ball cricket? It's just a random question that triggers in my mind. But look at the point of view from the players. Workload management becomes really easy once you know if there's one form of cricket or one form of format which I am supposed to play and follow. So is this gonna prove like a blessing in disguise for them so far as white ball cricket is concerned?
Rohan, your generation has grown up not watching the greats like Andy Roberts, Mikey Holding, Joel Garner, Colin Croft, and those guys. You have not really seen the good old days of Test cricket. You guys are white ball cricket fans, primarily watching T20 tournaments across the world. Test cricket for the youth like you guys, where does it stand?
Well, to be very frank, in the last couple of years, or maybe since 2021 India series for Australia, that revived Test cricket, in my humble opinion. That series which India won or retained the BGT, that series revived, at least in our part of the world, it revived Test format. And ever since, all the people of our generation, what do we call the Gen X or whatever, Gen Z, we watch Test cricket. Everyone awaits the fifth day, third session, first ball, and they have 25 overs and 120 runs left. That is what we all want to. We are looking forward to watch.
The interesting part is that the T20 generation current is reviving Test cricket. Look at the likes of Jaiswal and Pant. They are T20 generation. But what excitement they bring to Test cricket.
On the flip side, you can also say a product like Jasprit Bumrah
Oh, yeah.
was a product of T20 cricket.
Absolutely.
So T20 also provides something to Test cricket generation also.
Absolutely.
And all you youngsters who are primarily white ball cricket, it is so gratifying for me to see and hear that Test cricket is going to continue to be alive and well, and perhaps not dying a slow death. Well, I want to thank Sharvil Majmudar, Panthil Majmudar, Shivam, and Rohan Majmudar, all four attorneys in the city of Ahmedabad, the home of the Gujarat Titans, home of the Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium, and potentially the home of the Olympics
Yes.
when India
That's the next big event.
next big event. So thank you all for watching.